Welcome to the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. I am your host, Shifa, the natural healing voice of the soul of Mother Earth, and I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for being here on today, for tuning into the show. Got some really good information for you. So, as I always say, go get that blue pen and white paper and be the trustee of your life and get ready to take copious notes. What are we talking about? We're talking about In the Black, the African American reality for financial literacy, okay? Why is that important? Just look around, Isn't it time that we start to walk into wealth? Yes, say wealth, say yes, say wealth. All right, so on today's show, I'm going to be going to my board. I've got all my notes laid out. So this is a teaching session. All right? So what are we going to talk about? The hows. We're going to talk about the how you do the thing. All right? Isn't that important? I've been ranting and raving about, black women in finance and the men who love us and why we're doing what we're doing. As a licensed financial professional, I feel it's my job and my opportunity to get you in the money, okay? To get you in the money. We do a lot of mindset training, getting rid of those limiting beliefs, right? Those limiting beliefs around money, the things that we've been taught. So we're gonna take a deep dive into them. And these are exercises for you to do. I'm going to walk you through them, but these are exercises for you to do. And if you do them, it will forward your life. You will be transformed. You will have a life-changing experience, not only in the area of money, but in this holistic design of healthy finances. Wealth plus health equals the ultimate well-being prescription, healthy finances, right? So at Oneness Wellness Lifestyles, we deal with healthy spirit, mind, body, family, finance, character, community, right? We got 13 of them, all of the domains, the dimensions of our life. And the thing that people come to me in my coaching sessions is always about not having enough money, right? For the most part, people are dealing with it. And if they do, the management of it, right? The management of it and how to grow it, right? How to keep it safe, how to protect it, all those kinds of questions come up. So let's go ahead and jump in. I just want to talk a little bit, give you time to go ahead and get your materials together. So here we go. I've been talking about a lot of chit chat and the conversations that go on that people are having. And it's really only two conversations. And they go to something like this. I'm sick and I'm broke, or I'm broke and I'm sick. Now, for those who feel like they've graduated above the broke stage, right? It's that they're not satisfied, they're not fulfilled, that the ability to continue to buy things and to add things and to put on the show and wear all the red bottoms and all of that, and no disrespect to any of that. I'm just saying that where people are in their soul self, okay, in that inner being when it comes to healthy finances. So I'm sick and I'm broke, or I'm broke and I'm sick, or I've got money but I'm not fulfilled. What else can I do? And the money is the identity. So we're going to talk about identity as well in this conversation. So I said I want to get you in the money. In the money is a mindset. In the money is a space in your heart. Okay, so when we are talking about that space in your heart, it's not that we love money. That's not it, right? Because we're not trying to make it an idol. Okay, this is not idol worship for money, right? But we do have to have a healthy relationship with it in order to attract it. Okay, in order to attract it. So we're going to talk about that. So we're going to do money. How about that? We're going to do money. And how you do money, what does that mean, do money? That means begin to accumulate. Begin to understand the feeling and the joy of the ability to accumulate money, as opposed to the feeling and the excitement of just spending money, okay? Because money is seed. Money is seed. Think about it like this. I give you a bag of seed. If you go and you give all the seed away, you have no harvest. But if you really understand the how seed works, right? When you put it in the ground, you save it. You build a saving muscle. You put it in the ground and realize in your heart and mind that money is for saving and not for spending. You begin to have the joy of the excitement of accumulation, right? You get the harvest, So, yes, and I know I repeat myself, right? So we're going to talk about accumulating it. And so in a conversation of accumulating money, what do we have to do? We want to protect it. We want to grow it, okay? We want it to be safe, risk-free, meaning you can't lose it, right? And we also want it to be tax-free, right? Ooh, yes, we want it to be tax-free. We want to have tax advantages, all right? So that's where we're going with this. But in the meantime, we've got a lot of meat for you. So get ready, all right? We're going to give you some things to think about. So we're going to go through a process about learning it. So how do you learn it? How do you learn about money? And what is it that you're learning about? So you say, well, I have a degree in finance, or I work at the bank, or I'm doing okay. I've got my banker down here, got my broker over there, I'm doing all right. Okay, that's cool. Or I need to just know how to be able to save. I just have enough, I got more month at the end of my money. So whatever the conversation is for you. This conversation is for you because they didn't teach us anything about money in school, right? So because only 4 states in the whole country teach anything about financial power, right? Not trying to empower you financially. That's what this is about, all right? So here we go. Let me grab my pen and marker. So here's what it looks like. Learn. What are we going to learn? We're going to learn. What are we going to learn? We're going to learn a world-class financial education. Okay, world-class financial education. That's what we're talking about here. We're going to talk about, number 2, we're going to talk about wealth principles, right? Wealth principles. What are those wealth principles? What are those wealth concepts? Things that are not necessarily in our everyday conversation. When's the last time you talked to somebody and had a real deep conversation about the power of compound interest, right? When is the last time you had a conversation about the fact that the sun never sets on money? That is always constantly in motion, right? So when we talk about world class, we got to talk about where is it? Where is it? Is it only in your paycheck at the end of the week or the end of the month or in the middle of the month? Is that the only place that it is? No, it's everywhere. It's actually digits floating in the air, right? It's digital, okay? You go to the ATM, right? You do your transfer on in your online banking. It's you having a digital experience, right? It's everywhere. Money is everywhere, all right? And number 3, we gotta own it. We gotta own it. So what does that mean? That means application. That means we get to apply what we're talking about here. We get to apply it in our life, making it work, right? When I say we're going to get you in the money, we're going to do money, that's what I'm talking about. It's the application of ownership, all right? And then what? Number 4, we got to share. Share. So if there's somebody that you know that needs to be in this conversation, hit them up with a text, send them an email, give them a shout out, tell them to get on this feed right here, right now, okay? Because this is information that we have to share because we know that it's each one teach one, right? So each one teach one, we've all heard that before. And then what's the next thing? Number 5, we got to be it. Be it. And what is being it? That means we got to form a wealthy identity. Something like that, right? We got to form a wealthy identity, not a rich identity. What's the difference between rich and wealthy? Wealthy is 3 to 7 generations deep, right? Wealthy is that you were able to accumulate, protect, save, grow, tax-free, enough money that your family, 3 to 7 generations deep, are good because of what you did. And not only are they good financially, but they're also good mentally and emotionally because you taught them, right? So wealth is not just money. Wealth is the knowledge base, right? So the difference between those that have and those that have not is knowledge base. It's not so much about money, it's what you do with it. Do some people just seem to have a lot of money and doing okay? But the thing about that is people are living 2.5 times their income, whatever amount they have coming in, all right? And so, and then we look at these, we look at people, and we've all seen it. We've all seen it. The ball players, the athletes, the musicians, the actors, they pass away, and it's a mess because they didn't know, they didn't understand, right, that you can keep the government from taking all your money, right? You can avoid probate. You can make sure you've got long-term care so there's no fussing and fighting over where you're going to be. There's so many things that money, that wealth has to, that encompasses. And so we're going to talk about that. World-class financial education. That's what we're up to here, right? We're going to talk about wealth principles and concepts, how you own it and apply it, and then next, sharing it, call somebody up, sharing it, and then being it. And in this being it part comes being a pro at it. So we're going to talk about all these things. Thank you so much for watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. We'll be right back after these messages. Make sure you tell somebody. Do number 4, share. We'll be right back after these messages. Happy, healthy, healing day. Shifa here with some actionable tips. I took some notes from a program that I've been paying attention to, and it helped me grow, so I just want to pass it on, okay? So get your blue pen and your white pad and get ready, because this is going to go really fast. Here's some actionable tips on how to maximize your income. All right? So what's the first thing you have to do? Think creatively. We talk about this all the time in Oneness Wellness Lifestyles. It's about being creative. How creative are you? We create value in our lives based on how creative we are, right? Our creativity and the service that we provide, whether that's a product or whether that's a service, right? That's how we can begin to increase our income. Now, and this is really about maximizing it. So get creative, right? And we talked about the 3 most important things. And if you missed that episode, I'm sure it'll air one time again. But you got to have your 3 most important things so you can do this. Next, you want to reduce your expenses. When we talk about cash flow, you can reduce your expenses. And how can you do that? Look at where you're eating out. How much are you eating out? How much are you spending when you eat out? How much is that latte costing you? Whether you get it from Starbucks, or you get it from Dunkin' Donuts, or you get it from Wawa, 7-Eleven, wherever it is, just start adding that up, okay? Also, your subscriptions. Scan your bank account and look at where you might have some dormant subscriptions, either to, back in the day, we used to get subscriptions to magazines. Now, it's to apps, right, online. So take a look at that. Do you have money that's seeping out like sand between your fingers, just falling through that you're not really paying attention to. So manage. This is about how to manage your expenses. And next, negotiate everything, right? Negotiate everything. If they say it's this much, you say, well, I'll give you this much, right? Negotiate everything. Everything is negotiable, all right? And fourth, downgrade, right? So this is one that we don't necessarily like to think about, talk about. We don't want to downgrade, but yeah, sometimes that's a good idea. You know, you might be, if you're like most people, living 2.5 times above the amount of money that you actually bring in the house. So you can kind of ratchet that down a little bit and save some money So this is how you maximize your income. I'm Shifat, and it's been my pleasure to be here and share that with you. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Put it in use in your life. Take good care.
Hi, my name is Qaida. What attracted me to becoming a financial professional was the fact that I didn't know anything about finances, personal finances, how to save, how to make money, or even how to grow my money. So when I got introduced to this opportunity, I was all on board. And learning about how to grow money, how to save money, and how to build for my future has been a tremendous asset to my life. So with that, being able to share this information with my family and friends, I've learned how to grow my money. I've learned how to help others. I learned how to share the information with my family so that my family and my family will not be in poverty any longer after going through this transformation. I see myself as a powerhouse, being able to shape and mold people's lives, helping families, helping myself grow and become better at what their passion in life. So becoming a financial professional is something that is very rewarding, and it is just a phenomenal institution of learning.
Welcome back to the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show. We are doing money. We are learning to accumulate money. These are our five learning steps, right? These are our 5 learning steps. And if you just joined us, I'm just going to go through this briefly. World-class financial education, that's what we're up to here, to make sure that we understand how money works. Number 2, we're creating an mindset and a heartfelt space for the wealth principles and concepts that we really need to know, that we've never been taught. And from that, we get to own what we learn and apply it, put it into use in our life, right? Put it into use in our life, and then share it, right? Each one teach one. That's like basic for what needs to be done. And number 5, be it, right? How you being with it? Beingness is all. Right? How are we being in it? And that means that we're creating a wealthy identity, right? And so wealth is not about how much money you have right now. It's about your mindset and how you deal with what you do have right now, so that you can begin to feel the joy and the excitement of accumulation. And that's if you accumulate a pile of dimes over there in the corner, you put them in a mason jar, you do whatever you do, it's accumulation. And then as that, you start building that muscle, and this is about being it, right? As you start building that muscle, then those dimes become dollars, right? And then those dollars continue to grow. And so hundreds into thousands, so hundreds of thousands of millions of billions of dollars. It's really about the accumulation, all right? So I remember when I was, the first time I made $1 million, it was how much money can I see stack up in the bank, right? Because I thought the bank was the place that you put it, because that's what we're taught. What we don't really understand is if you have money parked in the bank, you're really losing money, okay? Because you're not getting the same amount of rate of return as the cost of living is going up. So your money's not worth as much as it was the day you put it in, the day you go to spend it. So that's one of the concepts, right? How is inflation impacting your money? So, but anyway, I thought what I did get to experience was the joy and the excitement of the accumulation, right? It's stacking up, right? And not spending it. I did spend, right? Of course I did. But my mind was, the excitement was, wow, look how much money we can stack up over here, all right? And then knowing what it's for, and that's when we become a pro at it. When you become a pro at it, you understand not only that you can accumulate, you built that saving muscle, right? You can accumulate it, but you also get to be in a space where you know what to do with it, all right? All right, so let's move on to the next piece. So let's talk about what are the things that, these are going to be your three of your top takeaways. We're going to talk about what are the things that we need to have in place, and what does it look like, what does it feel like, and we're going to jump right in with the first one that is the reason why we tend to be in the space that we are with regard to money, and that is fear. Fear. What are we afraid of? Are we afraid of success? Are we afraid of failure? Are we afraid that we might change if we have a lot of money, or the people around us are going to change if we have a lot of money? What are we afraid of? Are we afraid that somebody's going to steal it, take it, we're going to lose it? If we get it and don't keep it, what are people going to think? What are people going to say? What's going on? So ask yourself the question, ask your God the question, ask the universe the question, and you will get the answer. So fear is the number one reason that you are stuck and not able to change your circumstances. Fear is the number one reason. Fear is the number one reason. All right. So I'm going to let you deal with the fear, because there's a lot of conversation about fear, and that's an internal thing. And when I say I'm going to let you deal with it, we all have this conversation, this chatter that goes on in the back of our head about who we are based on our environment and how we grew up and the encouragement that we got or didn't get, the abuse that we were under or were not under, whatever the case may be, whether we were groomed to understand how to take on a challenge, or we just fade back into the woodwork when everything is going on. You know, are we participating? All of that has to do with fear of money, right? So this is a fear of money, right? The fear of money. So just think about that, and I have to let you simmer with that, let you process with that. All right, number two. Number two is virtue. Virtue, right? So virtue is in two parts. You got to have two things that are, so I'm going to label them A and B, okay? Virtue. The two things that you absolutely need to take, that you absolutely need in order to take you to your next greatest version of yourself, these two things are, number one, or A, is work ethic. Work ethic. So we're going to talk about money, we got to talk about work, right? What is your work ethic? Can you set a goal, make a plan, execute the plan consistently, constantly, consciously, and get to accomplishment? Work ethic, right? Can you show up every day for yourself? Or are you distracted by the screen, the TV, the game, the music, the whatever it is, and it takes you off your mark? And then you beat yourself up because you're not where you think you wanted to be by this time, or you don't have the things, right? You're not in that space of be, do, have, right? So work ethic is part of what? Part of beingness. That's part of the B, right? So you have your notes, that's part of the B. And number three, and I've touched on this, let me go back to B. So we've got work ethic, sorry about that, let me go back to the virtue. We've got work ethic and curiosity, right? We've got to be I have to have my notes because this was a lot of information to give. Curious about life. Okay? You have to have some curiosity. You have to be in a space of always asking questions. So the two virtues that you want to have are your work ethic, how you be, and your level of curiosity. Because curiosity about life will cause you to ask the questions of where is the money, right? How does it work? Why does it work that way? Will it work that way for me? Can I prove it to myself? Curiosity about life. And not just about, we think that it's all about the money, but since everything is in motion in this society that we live in around money, right? Wouldn't it make sense that you want to know some more about it, like how it really works, okay? So these are the two virtues, and these virtues help you to overcome the fear of money. Because when you have a strong work ethic and you be it, like you get up in the morning, you wake up in the morning being about it. This is what I have to do to make the cash register ring. This is what I have to do to make sure that we put food on the table, right? Like not in a scarcity way, but in a way that makes you feel fulfilled because you are on purpose. You're on purpose. Not like get up rat race thing. And I know most of the people, 95% of the people are on that rat race, right? So if you work for a Humanity Plus company, then you feel really good about going to work, okay? You love your job, the corporation that you're working for is doing good in the world, and so you feel good, right? So you get up in the morning, you feel good about going to put your 40 in, okay? Maybe, because you might also feel that there's something else that you want to contribute to the world. Right? This is work ethic still. This is work ethic, okay? And this is also about curiosity, is how we blend them together. Or you're the entrepreneur. You're the self-employed, right? The self-employed means that you own a job, right? You the boss, okay? You own a job. Different from a business person who has a system that makes money when they're not even there. If you have to be there in order to make money, you are self-employed. Being that, you have more freedom though, right? To do the things that you want to do. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about work ethic and the virtue and the curiosity of life all blended together in such a way that you're conscious about money. Not in a scarcity way and not in a way of over affection, but you know that there's a space in your life called the domain of my finances. And you want that domain of your finances to be healthy, all right? So what is number 3? Number 3 is identity, right? And I talked about this a little bit, identity. So your identity, the key to success, to build is to build an identity. So what does that mean? That means who are you? Not who are you portraying yourself to be by whatever it is that you do and how you be and speak and hang out, but who are you really, okay? And who do you want to be? And then becoming it. You get to decide. So assess yourself. Identity. Who are you? And this is related to the money, right? Who are you? Who are you? Right? And then, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? And then become it. So when we come back, I'm going to talk to you about the what do you want to be and the beingness of that in the domain called money, in a space we call in the black healthy finances. Because when you can When you become it, then it become into you, okay? When you become it, because you attract what you are in every domain of your life. You attract what you are. And that might be a hard pill to swallow depending on where you are and who you think you are. And we'll get into that in just a moment. Be right back. Stay tuned.
How you doing? My name is Haywood, and I'm a financial pro. And what really attracted me to become a financial pro is I always wanted to be in the loop when it comes to knowing different things such as finances, what to do with it, how to manipulate them, how to do different things like that. I always was good with my finances, but I was looking for that extra knowledge to take me to the edge. Now, another question that was asked for me was, how is it helping my family and my friends? Well, it's helping my family and my friends because if I have the knowledge, then they have the knowledge. And you know, when you have the knowledge, you're able to trickle that down to help someone else. When somebody has watered you, you're able to help water somebody else's financial seeds and help those grow as well. How do I see my agency growing? How do I see it building? Well, I see myself building an empire, because when you have empire goals, when you have empire dreams, you want to live out those dreams, okay? You want to live out those things. So I see myself expanding. If your dreams don't scare you, then your dreams aren't big enough, okay? And that's my take on the whole thing. Thank you.
So, welcome back. We are in a conversation about the fear of money. We're talking about who it is we have to be, what is the identity, what are the virtues, okay? What are the virtues of actually accumulating money, right? Getting over the fear of success, getting over the fear of failure, getting over the fear of what people might say, how people might treat me, or that I might change, or they might change, or whatever we've been taught in the dogma of the religion that we are practicing, whatever we've been taught growing up in terms of our environment, you know, that only evil people have money, or you have to do something illegal to get it, or whatever the case may be. What I am leaving to you is the question of where are you with it, and why are you afraid of it? Why are you afraid of it, okay? And then we talked about virtue, your work ethic, how you being with it, and we're going to talk about, you know, scheduling and all those kinds of things, like really take a deep dive into laying out how it is it happens and what it is we need to be doing, all right? What it is we need to be doing, and then having an identity, right? Who are you and where are you, and then becoming that identity. So you get up every morning and your identity, what you tell yourself about your identity is that you broke, busted, and disgusted, right? Or you are stressed out about the bills, or you stressed out about whatever it is that you got to go get that next contract, whatever it is, because you could be doing really well in terms of what your bank account looks like, but you still wake up in the morning in a cold sweat. You still wake up, or you go through the day and you're still uncertain. You're still uncertain about many things. And so that becoming in that identity, right? Become it. You're going to become whatever it is you decree yourself to be. You shall decree a thing and it shall be done unto you, right? So whatever you think, you believe, then you walk into that. You walk into that and you behave in the manner of your wealthy, healthy finances. Okay? You become it. You become it. So these are what I call the second of your three top takeaways, all right? So we talked about the first one is fear, the second one is virtue, and the third is identity. So now let's jump into some action items, right? Because when becoming it, that means doing it. We said we're going to do money, right? We said we're going to do money. So in doing money, that means that there's some actions that we get to take. There's some things that we get to do in terms of being it, that so we can feel comfortable in the identity that we actually do become it. We're not faking it. It's who we are. It is who we are. And that is a matter of decision on your part, right? So all day long, every day, we are always, always, always affirming who it is we are in the world. So you either being led or you are leading. And the first power position of leadership is being able to lead yourself. Okay, you got to lead yourself. That's part of the identity in doing money. You're gonna have to lead yourself, because the money is, for most people, is a private affair, right? That's why it's hard for people to have this conversation sometimes. When we do the financial needs analysis, people don't even want to write down sometimes what all of their income and expenses and what vehicles they have in place and all those kinds of things, because it makes you really have to think about it and talk it out with somebody, right, who can coach you through the process. That's what I do. That's part of all of this, is how I help people to get to where they want to be in their money position, right? And being curious about life. That's where that fits in. You got to be curious about what's possible. You got to be curious about how much can I stack up. You got to be curious about how do I not pay taxes. You got to be curious about your healthy finances domain, about your life, right? Yeah. Not just I get my check and I spend it and I don't have enough, or I make the money, I get the contract, I've got the windfall and all that kind of stuff, and I spend a lot of money, right? But I'm not really doing all the things I need to do, or I've made a lot of money, put it in the stock market, and the market's down 800 points. The market's down 1,000 points, and I got this roller coaster ride going on in my gut, right? Or my 401k is losing value. What am I going to do for my retirement? How am I going to pay for my children's education? When am I going to get my house paid off, right? All of those kinds of things. So it's a wide spectrum of conversation, and what we get to do because our curiosity about life is to narrow that thing down and set a pathway, and then walk into it, become it, so that it becomes a space of grace and ease and peace and comfort, no matter where it is that you are on the spectrum, all right? That's how we do money. That's how we become it. That's how we become it. That's what this is right here, okay? That's how we become it. All right, so let's move on. So when we talk about, next we're going to talk about some action items. These are the to-do stuff, right? The to-do stuff. All right, so here we go. So when we talk about what's necessary in terms of accumulation of wealth, getting in the black, right? And so if you don't understand what I'm talking about when I say get in the black, when on the ledger, if you have digits that you write down in the red, that means that you're taking a loss. When you have more liability, when you have more assets and you have liabilities, assets are red, liabilities are red, assets are black, okay? So you want to make sure that you're in the black. You want to have more money at the end of the month, okay? That's what I mean when I say in the black, right? You want to have more money than you owe somebody else. We want to be in the black. And this is the financial literacy conversation in the African American community. We got to get in the black. You know, we go to Black Friday and have Cyber Monday so that the corporations can get where? In the black, okay? In the black. So here's some action items to get in the black, all right? Number one, we want to talk about how to maximize your income. The first thing we do with a family is help to increase their cash flow. And there's several ways that can happen. Sometimes you may want to go get a second job. I don't recommend that, because what that does is increase your taxes and take away your time. Okay, so there's other ways to do it, and this requires us to, number one, think creatively. Think creatively. The only way, going to get a second, third job is not the only way to make money. All right, so when we think creatively, we've got to find ways that we can create additional income, extra income, by fulfilling some simple needs that people have. So we talked about being creative in life. I mean, being curious, right? And so now we're talking about, number one, your first action item is be creative. And I love this one because the source of our being, God, the universe, whatever it is that however you relate to that, is creative, right? The source of our being, the source of the universe, the source is creative. And we have that creative capacity in us. And we get to be curious about life enough so that we find out, well, what is it that I could do to do what? Be creative to increase cash flow. What can I do to increase cash flow? All right. So find some simple ways to provide a service that people need, something little, right? Just think about it. If you think about it, you'll come up with it. All right. So the other way we can talk about cash flow is by managing our expenses. So I tell this story to my clients, almost everybody I meet, because it's so fitting. So I'm gonna tell it in a nutshell. It's my Wawa story. All right. So I was working with a family in New Jersey. There's a store there called Wawa, and we were doing their financial needs analysis, and there was $400 that we just couldn't find. I didn't know where it was. They didn't know where it was. I said, I'll be back in a few days. Save your receipts, and we'll see what's really going on. And so I went back. I usually try to get back within 72 hours, certainly not a whole week go by. I went back. They had receipts like this stacked up from how much money they spend every day at the Wawa. So what's a Wawa? It's like a big convenience store where you can get gas and you go in and they got everything, right? It's like a mini Walmart. So the Wawa was taking all their money. They were giving all their money to the Wawa. They were making somebody else wealthy to the tune of $400 a month, just picking up stuff on the way home from work, on the way to work, in between getting sandwiches, all that kind of stuff. Now, I'm not talking about buying gas because that's a separate receipt, right? I'm talking about this stuff, right? So we were able to take that half of that $400 because we didn't want to just stop going to Wawa because convenience of your life. So we were able to take $200 of that and put it in a vehicle that's growing money now. And this was about 3 or 4 years ago now. And they are so happy because they have the excitement and the joy of accumulating. They know the feeling of accumulating that money as opposed to spending that money. All right. So increase your cash flow by managing expenses. Okay, manage expenses. Now, so this is number one. Number two is that you want to reduce, right? Reduce your expenses. Now, this is different from managing expenses. This is reducing expenses. What can you cut out? Right? And so nobody wants to talk about what I got to get rid of, right? So it's almost like when we're talking about you on a we did a no sugar diet, right? And so we had to think of all the things we had to let go. Nobody wants to do that, right? Especially if it's stuff that you are wanting. So we're going to talk, when we come back, we're going to talk about reducing expenses, all right? So I hope you're taking good notes because this is going to be very valuable for you as you build your identity. We'll be right back after this. Stay tuned. Remember to share, tell a friend. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Hello, my name is Sheena Pickett, and I am a financial educator for the cosmetology community. As a financial professional, I have been granted access to a world-class education in money, how it works, and how I can make it work for me. With this level of information, I'm able to share with other beauty and grooming professionals on how to save money, how to reduce debt, and ultimately how to achieve financial success. With this access of information, I feel and believe that when you have great resources, you can ask better questions and in return make better decisions for your future and legacy continuing on.
Welcome back. You're watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show, and I'm Shad, aka RJ Whitehurst, your financial professional. We're talking about healthy finances. We've got some things going on here about how it is we create the identity to be in the money, right? I said we're going to do money. We're going to get you in the money, and so that's what we're talking about here. So this all may sound familiar to you, because it's not a whole lot you need to know, but there's a whole lot that has not been shared about what you need to know, okay? So that we're going through some of that. And right now we're talking about some actionable items and some things you can do to maximize your income, So we talked about increasing your cash flow, managing your expenses, and now we're talking about reducing your expenses. What are some of the things that you can just you don't need that? And so here's a place where there's a hole in the pail, okay? You've got these reoccurring expenses, these reoccurring subscriptions that's hit your account every month. Stop it. If it's not something you're really using or you really need, that's a drain on your income, right? So you got to look for things to do. Reducing expenses is really about saving money in another way. So first is in subscriptions, right? In subscriptions. So we want to stop that. Next is in food expense, right? Do you really have to have 2 lattes every day? Really? Do you really have to eat all the food that you consume every day? And that means the eating out stuff, right? Do you really have to? Can you take your lunch to work? Can you make that look different? How can you make that look different? It's about curiosity in life again, right? So when you are talking about saving money, so my notes say it doesn't have to be forever, but just do it for like 3 months. Just take your lunch for 3 months, right? And then see what the impact is. Test it out. Test this thing out, okay? You are in control. This is your new identity. This is your new healthy finances identity. If you're going to get to money, you got to change the things that you do now in order to get to where you want to go and where you want to be later, right? The be, do, have is you got to be it, then you do it, and then you have it, okay? It's the be, do, have. So next is negotiate, right? Learn how to negotiate everything. Paying less for things. Be willing to ask. You know, when you go to a hotel or you go someplace, I've tipped over the senior citizens mark now, right? So I asked, is there a seniors discount? Is there what's the discount you have going on when you go to the hotel? What are the specials that you have? What are the offers that you have right now? But if you don't ask, you won't get it. So you have to be able to ask for discounts, negotiate, and downgrade your lifestyle. Okay, downgrade your lifestyle. It ain't got to be all that right now, and don't have to be it can be temporary, right? Be willing to. We said negotiate, right? I know that's not spelled right, but we want to negotiate. This is an O, and we also want to. We talked about. Next is downgrade. Lifestyle. Right? You want to downgrade your lifestyle. What can you do less of? All right? So temporarily downgrade your lifestyle just for a little bit. Just for a little bit. You know what I'm talking about. You know what your lifestyle is. So do you have to have that? Do you have to have this? Can you do with less of that? Downgrade your lifestyle, right? Do you have to go to the movies 2 or 3 times a month? Do you have to do, what is it? What is it? You know what it is. Do you have to take that long Sunday drive and burn all that gas? Do you have to do that, right? Whatever it is in your life, right? And so be curious. Be curious so you can be what? So you can be creative. This is the number one thing right here, being creative, okay? So, next is, number 3, is your ecosystem. You say, what in the world? Your ecosystem of success. Your ecosystem of success. Create a support team around yourself, okay? Join us on Black Women in Finance and the Men Who Love Us. Join us on Facebook at Mentor Share, right? The Oneness Wellness Institute. Create an ecosystem around yourself of people who are talking about being curious about being creative enough to increase their cash flow, reduce their expenses, right? Or manage their expenses, reduce their expenses, and talk about all of the things, right? So we have book clubs, and you can have a Healthy Finances. Join us, Healthy Me hashtag Healthy Me Finances, Healthy Me Finances now. I'm on Facebook on about 4 or 5 pages just to give people the opportunity to create the ecosystem for their success. So what does that look like? So when we were growing up, we had a support system, right? And that in support system, it taught us how to deal with challenges, and it gave us encouragement. We had resources, right? So our parents gave us those resources. We had love, we had meals, we had a roof over our head, we had a place to sleep at night. Our parents provided all of that, all right? If that's what your situation looked like. In some people's life, that was not there. And so whether it was or was not, that was the ecosystem, okay, of our life. And so what we want to do is create an ecosystem of success. You want to surround yourself with people who fill in the gaps of the skills, talents, and abilities that you may not feel like you have, but that you can glean from, okay? So when we talk about this is people. This is books, webinars, right? Seminars. Surround yourself, create for yourself a healthy finances ecosystem of success. That's what we're doing here. We're having the conversation about money, about building the muscles for saving and accumulating, understanding that money is seed for saving, not for spending, so we can have a harvest, right? And so what is the harvest for? We create the ecosystem to have these conversations so that the having part, right, the be, the do, and the having part becomes, I can pay for my children's education, I can afford the house that I want, I can, and not be stressed out. When I say afford, I don't mean just get in it. I mean being able to know that for the 30-year mortgage, for the 15-year mortgage, right, that you feel secure, that even if you are disabled or you pass away, that house gets paid for and is left as a legacy for your family. Do you see how far down the road I'm going? Because we're talking about wealth here. We're not talking about rich, we're talking about wealth, okay? Because your whole life is abundant when you begin to understand how to do money, and then how to be it in your identity. And then the having part, right? Because now you've created the attraction, the energy of it, and the having part of it is natural, because the natural state of the universe is abundance. The natural state of the universe is abundance. And so that's why here at the Oneness Wellness Lifestyles conversation, we're talking about it in terms of the money that we have and the ecosystem that we create, because this becomes your world where you begin to focus in on it. right? And you begin to create the conversation in your heart and your mind, right? In your heart and your mind, leading with your heart and moving forward with your mind, right? With the systems that we put in place. So as we go forward, what we're going to do next time we get together is we're going to talk about the ecosystems and build that out in terms of what it looks like so that you can have high performance in that area. And so that then becomes the details of the what do I do, right? So when we say do, the question is like, what do I do, right? So these are some of the things that deal particularly with cash flow, okay? Particularly with cash flow, because it's about getting money in your home. If you are wanting to have a larger conversation with me about this, I can help you get in the cash flow part with some ideas that are personalized to you. I can help you to sharpen that focus and bring it in so that it becomes your identity, so that you can walk out into it in your life. And that's what this is really all about. So when we are in this conversation about learning, having a world-class financial education, right? I went over this on the charts. So we talk about, what did we talk about? We talked about a world-class financial education. That's what we're learning. And this, when we're learning this is really what? Healthy finances. Healthy finances. So when we say healthy finances, that means that we want to increase our education, right? Increase our education. And we do that through wealth principles and concepts. Wealth principles and concepts. So we didn't go too much into a deep dive in that today, other than we talked about cash flow as a wealth principle, right? We talked about owning it and applying it. Part of that ownership is being creative. Part of that ownership is being curious about life so that we can move into the application of it. And then the sharing part is the ecosystem, right? Who do you know? Who are you talking to? Are the people that are around you always, what's the conversation? And is it going in the direction that you want to go in? That's the real main question. That's the main question. There are some circles that I go in, I have to tell people I'm not having that conversation, right? Because it's not my identity. It's not my identity. And then here it is. You got to be it. The reason why I can say that's not a conversation I'm having, because I'm being my wealthy identity as a professional, okay, as a professional. So you've been watching the Oneness Wellness Lifestyle Show, and it's my pleasure, my blessing to be with you, and I look forward to being with you again soon. So take good care. Put those notes, that information that you took, into your life. Apply it so that you can be, do, and have. I'm Shifat, and I look forward to serving you again soon.